I'm going to show you how to use Xlookup with an approximate match. So in other words, I want to find a value, but that value is not actually in my lookup table. So for instance, I want to pay people commissions, okay? So the people have made sales. So Peter made, let's make it easier, 5,500, okay? So he didn't make 5,000, he made £5,500. Now I want to know how much commission I've got to pay him. Now here is my lookup table, okay? So if he made 5,000, he's going to get 2%. But now he made 5,500. So will the computer look up the next value? So will he find the larger value and give me 4,000, or will he find the smaller value and give me 2,000? So I've got a choice. I can choose. I've got a parameter that I can set. So if I use a -1, it will always find the smaller number. If I use a +1, it will find the bigger number. And if I use a 0, it's going to work with an exact match. So 5,500 will return an error message. Okay, so let's see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to start working with a match mode. I call it a match mode of -1. Now I want to remind you of my parameters. So equals VLOOKUP, I've got a lookup value, a lookup array, a return array, a if not found value, and a match mode. Now the if not found is optional, and match mode is optional, okay? So, and search mode, which I'm not going to do in this video, is also optional, okay? So I've always got to have the first 3, but I don't need to have the last 3. So let's just do equals, look up this Xlookup, find this value. Where to find it? Well, find it amongst these values here, okay? And return what is in this commission percentage column, okay? And now I'm going to say, I want to get to this match mode, but I've got a problem because I've got 1, 2, 3 parameters. 1, 2, 3 parameters. Now I want to skip this not found. So I'm just going to make a comma and another comma. So to indicate that I'm not using this not found value. Okay? Because the reason why I don't want to use the not found is because my value will not be found, because I'm working in a scenario where my value is not in my table. I know it's not there. So I don't want to give it a value if it's not found. I want the computer to still look up in the table and go and find the value that he finds in the. I don't want to program a particular value in for a not found, because if he doesn't find the value, I want him to look up a 2% or a 4%, etc. So that is why I skip over my if not found and I make another comma. And then I'm going to say, well, I want to use -1, and this -1 in my match mode parameter, that will say if 5,500 is not found, or a value is not found in my table, so it's between 5,000 and 10,000, then I want him to use the smaller one of the two. So if my value falls between 2 numbers in my table, then use the corresponding value that is opposite the smaller of the 2 values. So I will get 2% for Peter. Okay, so 5,500, it falls between 5 and 10,000. Use the smaller of the 2, so it will return a 2,000. So let's just see. Okay, 5,000 is exactly there, so I get my 2,000. 11,000, 11,000 falls between the 4 and the 7%. And because I used a -1, I get the 4. And then this value here, 110, let's make it 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. So it's more than this biggest number. It's more than the biggest number. I still get my 12% because it's going to look for the next smallest number. Okay, so that is if my value is off the chart, but is too big for the whole chart. Now here, in this case, my Nigel only sold for 7 pounds. Okay, now that's wonderful, but now his number is not on the table. It's smaller than the smallest one, so I get an error. Okay, and then here 17 is between the two, and then I get the 4%, which is the smaller of the two. So that's how I do it. Now I'm just quickly going to show you what happens if I do the Xlookup with a different match mode. So I look up 5,500 in these values here, return what is in the commission column, and now don't use my if not found parameter, so make 2 commas and then put a +1, and that's it. Okay, so now the 5,500 looks up across the 10,000. Same for them all. Okay, so here can you see this is interesting, because now the one that's off the chart on the bottom end gives me an error, and the one that's off the chart at the top end gives me a 2%. Okay, and now I'm going to use the exact match, the 0 there. I've got an option for 0, which might not be what this, it defeats the purpose a little bit, but anyway. So find my 5,500 in this range and return what is in that range, and now skip over my not found and use a 0, which means exact match. Okay, and now I only get for 5,000 a value, because of all the values that I've got to look up, the only one that's actually in the table is the 5,000, and it gives me the exact value, which is 2%. Okay, let's test it out. If I have, let's say I've got a 10,000, 10, 1, 2, 3, 10,000 will then find this 4%. So that is how I use the match mode parameter if I'm looking for approximate match using Xlookup.